Hello, lore heads, and welcome to the League, exploring the League of Legends lore from A to Z. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm John.
My name is Mark.
Today we're talking about the Stone Weaver, Taliyah, who was released May 18th, 2016.
Yeah, right in the middle there. I don't know. I feel like that's the middle, right? 2009's the start, and
Yeah, it's
whatever.
that 16. I feel like the 2016-2017 era is the one that I'm like least familiar with when Champions came out in that, because we were hiking and then not playing as much for like that year or two.
Yeah, we really didn't play much again until the pandemic, I feel like.
Yeah.
Another
COVID strikes again.
It also seems... I do think that Taliyah came out before we left, though.
For sure. Well, May? Yeah. No, because we left in April.
Oh, man, I have this very vivid memory of the... one of the cinematics coming out, and then a bunch of people at the time being like, wow, the cinematic isn't, I don't like the music that goes along with it, but if you put Taliyah's theme along with it, the cinematic is way, way better. And I could have sworn we were at our last apartment when that happened, but
interesting.
It must not have been.
Maybe I wrote the wrong year.
You probably didn't. It's probably my memory.
I don't know. That's a very specific and unique thing to remember. They're like really burned in your... I wonder what video it was that didn't have good audio or good sound.
I was thinking, were you just thinking about like the Worlds theme?
It was a Worlds theme.
Oh, okay.
I just don't remember which Worlds
I don't think it was Taliyah's theme. Because I remember that happening, and I remember watching it. I think it was the Worlds theme from the year before, or something like that.
Wait, like the year before this year?
No, the year before the year that one came out. Yeah, they went into the future and took the World's theme from 2022.
I don't know what they're all about.
Anyway, we realized at the beginning that John and I wrote down the same quote for Taliyah, and Mark thinks that he also wrote down the same quote for Taliyah. So we had the brilliant idea to all three of us do the impression at the same time to see if it is the same quote that Mark wrote down.
All right. We'll see. I'm feeling excited. Less and less confident as you're saying it out loud.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great.
All right.
And we'll do a little countdown.
So we're going to do 1, 2, 3,
That'll
and
be
then
great.
Say it? Like 1, 2, 3,
Because the
go.
claps do not line up whatsoever.
Great.
So
Awesome.
This is going to be really good.
All right. We'll do 1, 2, 3, then say it.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Sedimentary, my dear mouth.
Polishing your sun disc.
No, we were not on the same page.
It was not. I didn't know that one. I didn't see that one from her. I immediately went to her Azir quotes, and I was like, she's got to like rip out on Azir, right? And she does. So.
She does.
Sure.
That's really funny. Well, now that we got the impressions out of the way.
I know, it's nice.
We're all very good.
I know. Honestly, she has so much lore. She sounds like a girl. I don't know. Like, there's no... I mean, she's good, but... Meaning, maybe it would be one that I'd good, but yeah. All right, on the universe page, Taliyah has a bio. 3 short stories are linked, although she has another one that we'll talk about that was released last year.
You know, at the time where they stopped just linking any
they just like
stories.
Decided they gave up on the universe page at that point. 2 videos are linked to the climb and her champion teaser, some artwork, and a champion insights link that doesn't work. It's broken.
It gonna be dead.
All of them are, I think.
Ooh, shame.
Yeah. Shame. Dishonor on your cow.
I've got random fun facts.
Make a note of this. So they're on. Anyway, you got fun facts.
I've got random fun facts about from the champion insight. So.
Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
That's all you need.
All the important stuff is there.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what a champion insight is.
It's where the people who make the champion talk about like, oh, this is what we were thinking when we did this, and like this is the inspiration.
That sounds fun, Riot.
I know.
Yeah.
And they just never do it. Weird.
I think they still probably. They must still do it in some capacity.
I think they do still do it. I don't think they link them on Universe anymore.
Yeah.
And I think they're videos now as opposed to articles a lot of the time.
Yeah, probably. Or like
that makes sense.
AMAs and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, whatever.
It's a random Reddit post from 2012 that you got to dig out.
Right. It's
From
even
someone who
worse when
doesn't
they're
work
on
there.
boards.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll get through her bio then.
All right, by Ariel Lawrence.
Ariel Lawrence. So Taliyah was a normal girl in Shurima. I mean, Toph. Now, honestly, her story didn't remind me of Toph's as much. I mean, you know.
What about what's his name? Bluto?
Bluto?
Is that the...
It's Pluto, hon. It's a dog from Mickey.
You mean Popeye's like arch nemesis, Bluto?
He is Bluto. Yeah, he is also Bluto. Who was the rock caller from Labyrinth?
Oh, I don't fucking remember.
Oh God, I do not. I don't think I know anyone's name from Labyrinth.
The Babe.
Yeah, the Goblin King.
The Goblin King. Yeah.
David Bowie's
Jareth?
package. Oh, Xerath. Cute story.
I mean, Xerath is the Goblin King.
I don't know about
because I liked that name so much that I named a lot of my JRPG characters after him for a period of time.
Oh.
It's a good one. It's a good protagonist name.
Anywho,
Taliyah was a normal girl in Shurima. She's from a tribe of nomadic weavers. When she was 6, she was searching for a goatling that she lost, and her dad is the master shepherd, so that'd look real bad. She found the goat high up in a canyon, not a cannon,
not to be
a
confused with.
canyon. And in her attempt to get him down, she ended up controlling the rock, and it all tumbled down on her. She was found there and woke up a few days later and kind of explained what happened, but left out the fact that she was the one who manipulated the rock. The tribe's grandmother said it must have been the Great Weaver, and Taliyah just let them believe that because they all looked really freaked out. She was like, yeah, must have been that.
Yeah.
Until it came time for her to do her dance. The dance was for the Great Weaver. All the children eventually did this dance to show their talents and gifts, and afterwards they would be claimed by a teacher based on their skill. Taliyah tried to do her dance without involving her rock weaving, but it didn't work, and everyone was pretty shocked. Rocks flew up in the air, and they were going to rain down on Taliyah, so her mother jumped in to protect her. I thought she was going to beef it here, Taliyah's mom, for sure. I thought this was going to be the tragic story she got, that she accidentally killed her mother, but she just got a little flesh wound. But Taliyah still ran away because she was like, "Oh, I hurt my mommy. That's a bad.
That's so bad.
That's a bad. I did a bad, guys.
That was evil.
I'm a monster." Her dad found her though and convinced her to finish her dance. So she did, and this time trying not to ignore the rock powers. So the rocks were less dangerous, I guess, when she does it that way. Everyone in the tribe did support her gift, but Taliyah knew that none of them could train her, and she didn't want to hurt anyone, so she left home. This begins a very long journey of her getting bounced around to lots of regions in Runeterra. I had no idea that she'd ever left Shurima.
Right.
God, where was I? Okay, yeah, she headed towards Targon first. She likes rocks, and that's a really big one. That was kind of what the explanation,
like literally what they said. It was so good.
I like rocks. There's a rock. Let's go. And she's a kid, so honestly, that's so cute, and it makes so much sense. Not even that if my fucking 35-year-old ass had this problem, I also would have been like, big rock, me go.
Himalayas, here we come.
Yeah. She ran into Noxians first, though, and they absolutely love her gift. Totally loved it. So she went to Noxus, where a lot of people were trying to convince her to train with them, but she ended up going with a man who said that he can find a trainer in Ionia. So when they got there, though, or close to it on a ship, the guy just wanted to use her to wreck a village so he could like get back in the army. I guess he's a disgraced ex-warrior. She chose to be thrown overboard instead.
Man, Ionia disgraces a lot of
I guess it was like their first big loss, right?
Yeah,
like
Bloody
was
Nose.
Ionia.
Yeah.
And then they just kept losing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She swam to Ionia. There she met, Yasuo, but we won't get his name for a while, but we know it's Yasuo.
Could be anybody. I don't know.
Could be any wind man.
Any wind man with a katana who is also on the run.
He trained her for a little while, but she eventually learned that Azir had risen again, and there were rumors that he would enslave all the Shurimans he can. And you know what? He probably will. So she left. She went back to Shurima. We'll get more detail on all of this journey, but she gets back to Shurima and is still there looking for her tribe to keep them safe from the evil, nasty, horrible, no good, very bad Azir.
This was like like the most story. I feel like
Oh
we've
my
forgotten
god, I
the
had so many
bio.
notes for this bio.
It's exceptionally long. It's almost 21 Heimers. It's like nearly 1,700
Whoa.
words. It's very
Yeah.
long. Yeah.
For a
Sometimes
bio,
they
yeah.
feel that way, but this one actually is really long.
Yeah.
And it stretches from like, what is it, like age 6 up to age like 17 or 18?
Somewhere around
Yeah,
there. Yeah.
she's had a lot going on in her life. I would say one of the only complaints I had, I really like Taliyah. I don't want to get really negative here, but I feel like I never got a sense of how long she was places whenever I was reading any of the stories. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't really get a sense of how long she was in Noxus or even on the ship or
So
how long she was training with Yasuo. I really had no sense for that.
So that was one of the big problems that kind of came about the more stories got released about Taliyah. Because the original idea, I think, was that she was coming back to Shurima when she was like 17.
Okay.
But then more stories got released and they were like, actually that timeline doesn't line up anymore. She's like 23
Oh, God.
now.
Yeah.
So they weren't
Yeah,
sure either. So, you're well within your rights to be
All right.
confused.
It's like someone's writing on a sign and they realize, I don't have near enough space to finish whatever word I'm
Oh
writing.
my god, you're right.
It's all
That is exactly
squished in at the end there.
Even
Yeah.
the bio felt like that. It was like we get the first like 3 years of her life, and then in a paragraph, it's like the last 15 years.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, she met Yasuo, trained with him, and then she left. Like, all right.
Which I guess is fine because we're going to get some very long stories that fill in those
We
blanks.
do, although I'll say I still felt like, especially with the training with Yasuo, I have no idea how long she was in Ionia. Literally, I could not tell you. I have no
it
clue.
feels
It
like
felt
a-
100.
a blink.
Well, a blink. Yeah.
I was going to say it felt 100% like a Luke and Yoda situation here.
Yeah, like
Sure.
I trained her for like 4 days. And
You
then
got
she
you
was
got
like,
one
I gotta
quick
go.
montage.
Yeah.
It's like you have a lot
she
of work
didn't even
left to
get a
do.
montage.
No, we just kind of jumped
Yeah.
a little bit ahead. I don't know. But I would
Who
like to
knows?
know that. It also felt like when she had left Yasuo that she had absolutely zero control over her magic still. But when we see her later, she clearly does. And when you see her in cinematics and in game, clearly she has control over her magic. So I don't understand how she had gotten trained.
I think that's like a big issue I had with Taliyah. Like, I don't want to get dump on her too hard either, but the Yasuo
Yeah.
one really sticks out because
Yeah.
it's like you said, there's no instance where you see her really. I don't ever feel like I see her really fail due to a lack of control that she seems to say that she has, right? And
It's more fear, which they do kind of touch on a little bit, that she's afraid that she's going to hurt someone.
they do, but I would like to see that be more founded in things that have happened. I think, like in the bio,
But she
for
scratched
example,
her mommy.
she scratched her mom, right? But, like, the bio is super vague. It's like she saw I think it only says she saw the destruction she had wrought. But there's like, I don't know what that actually means. No one got killed. Everyone seems still pretty chill. So like, what happened? Like, what actually happened, right?
I'm very glad that she didn't kill anyone with her powers, but I think a more severe injury would explain how afraid she is, or just like a much closer call, even.
Although I'm not even entirely sure she didn't kill anyone with her. There were a lot of bodies at the end of that Yasuo story. And
Oh, she
Yasuo-
probably killed someone there, but that seemed more intentional.
I suppose, yeah. I guess. I think even like just getting more into her head about what she's feeling, maybe when she's doing her magic, and the feeling of I don't really have control over
I like
over this
that.
might be enough for me.
Yeah, I agree. It kind of is just like, that's not really touched on. And we get in her head for the Yasuo story. And there's a lot I like in the Yasuo story, which we'll talk about soon. But I like the idea of being in her head more and just the absolute like paralyzing fear that might come. Even if they just wanted it that she scratched her mom, that is something that's still very scary, that you hurt someone you love, even if it was just a little bit. And she almost killed Yasuo at some point really early on when she first met him. So I get the fear, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel the fear. I didn't
Sure,
feel
right. And she's already got like enough of a practical reason to want to leave anyway. Like, just because no one in her tribe can train her, right? And that's a perfectly valid and reason. That's more than enough for a character to go out on a journey, right?
Yeah.
Especially she's like 16. I kind of assume around then-ish, maybe even a little younger. Like, young kid is perfectly like ready to go out and go see the world, and go off on adventure. So
You're 10. Go travel the world and catch your Pokemon.
Yeah, but another thing,
Right.
how old is she when she leaves her tribe?
I
We don't
assume
know.
she was mid.
She's 6 when
I mean,
she
this is
first
just-
sees it,
yeah.
but
Well, because they were doing like a coming of age type thing, so I assume they were
I guess that's true.
Like 16 is kind of where I kind of just guesstimate in my head.
Coming of age feels 13 to me.
I guess that's
or
true.
14. I don't know though. That's really hard.
Now I'm curious. So we know that she was doing her little dance and made the Rockies go pew pew pew.
Sure.
When all the other kids are doing their dance to show off their talent, how do you like dance and weave or like dance and shepherd? Like, what does that dance look like?
That's a good question.
I was curious. Like, does the whole tribe have magic, and that's part of the weaving, but hers just weaves stone?
That would be a little more interesting, I think, almost.
That's kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Like, when they were weaving like wool and thread and stuff, but it was with magic.
Huh.
I like that.
I don't know how you shepherd with magic, but maybe the goats all float in the air.
Sure,
like
right?
Twister
That'd be kind of
or something. Gal.
That's how that goat got all the way up on the cliff.
Yeah, it was all the kids at a dance. They fucked it up.
I hate these floating goats. They suck so hard. Fuck. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
how do you prove that you're a good like CPA through dance? Right? It's very hard.
There's a quote here that says, "For beneath Taliyah's youthful demeanor is a will strong enough to move mountains and a spirit fierce enough to make the earth tremble," which I feel like is a very common phrase, but it's not used quite this literally. I feel like nearly as often.
They had a lot of fun with that little one.
Right? They also have a quote here that says, where most outsiders see Shurima as a beige and barren waste, her family raised her to be a true daughter of the desert and to see beauty in the rich hues of the land. Which I thought they were going to say, like, she lives in the desert, so she knows where the color is, she knows where the oases are, but no, it is beige and barren, and she's just being like, but I like beige and barren. It's pretty.
It's soothing. It's a soothing color. It's
matches my cloak.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So the whole goat incident happened. It said,
John.
After her 6th high summer, and man,
can I read what you wrote after that? Or do you want to do it?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Hey, blaze it.
This is the quality insightful commentary.
Hi, 6 years in a row. Fucking tell them, Taliyah. So for the record, in case you're wondering, the tribe's grandmother is named Babajan. Now, we get a name for her. We do not get a name for her father. He's referred to as her father just several times throughout the story, which I thought maybe just like, maybe it's just Babajan who gets a name. But in later stories, we get additional names from people from her tribe while she's still referring to her father as her father.
I mean, her mother doesn't get a name either, I don't think.
We get like an uncle's name.
Yeah, an uncle's
right?
name. I mean, it's
maybe
from
that's
her
because they
perspective.
plan on killing off her parents.
No,
we
it's
can't
from
let
her
people get too attached.
From her perspective. So she imagines him as mother. She's not like my father, Benjamin.
I was gonna say y'all were just complaining about this shit like back in Syndra, right?
Bio's not through her eyes.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's fair.
Nah, it's fine.
So remember that time where she refused to kill the Ionians and she was thrown overboard? Mm-hmm. Imagine how fucking hard it must have been to swim ashore with a cloak made out of rocks.
Imagine how hard it was to swim ashore given that she comes from the fucking desert.
I'm curious about that. I didn't think about it. I was just thinking it. Like,
I feel like this is... okay,
they got little ponds there, right? I don't know.
Right, but it's like, why even write it that way? Why not just write that... They got to shore and then they frog marched her over to an Ionian village and then she said no and ran away or something, right? Or tried to protect people and couldn't. And then she failed. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess she was given the choice of doing the city or being thrown overboard, and maybe it's supposed to look heroic that she chose what could have been death instead of... But she had a way to survive it.
I think Taliyah can't swim. I'm gonna be honest with you. Don't get me wrong. There is a universe where Taliyah can swim, but I don't think we live in that one. And so it's like, why? Like, to me, it's like almost like a lack of attention to detail. Why write it that way when it raises a little that sort of question?
Or at least, bring up the fact, like, though she was raised in the desert, she was, had found a way to swim.
Master swimmer.
No,
Sure,
like a
right?
reason she had been.
She was great at it, but she was terrified because one time she swam as a kid and her mom got
Swain.
her forehead cut. So
Her mom's just really clumsy.
I'll never swim again. What have I done, mother?
Right. Taliyah's just like the most like anxiety riddled like child that they've. Oh man.
What a
Maybe
vibe,
like,
though.
maybe like the will of the land of Ionia senses the good that she's done and helps like it makes the tide like pull her into the shore or
could
some
work.
shit. Whatever,
Yeah.
right? Easy
Yeah.
peasy.
We've proved that Ionia can, like, swallow people
Yeah.
who
Right.
don't like them. So
It's got its own fucking will.
Yeah. So something like that.
how insulted would you be if, like, you were from Ionia and the land never saved you from something, and then just some fucking, like, lady is here?
Well, there's a lot of Ionians that don't have magic, so I mean, fuck them.
true,
What do
they're
they
not-
do? What have they done for
God.
the land lately?
Right? Yeah.
They couldn't even fight off Noxus.
Yeah, not yeah. You know what? Noxus is right.
No, we watched the video. We know who wins.
We watched it. We all seen it. Yeah. But yeah, I know it's really a long bio, but I do appreciate them like being willing to tell this to spare the length, I guess, to tell the story of like her, like what caused her to leave. Because I feel like in so many other instances that would just be a paragraph, and we would never get a story, and be like, well, I'd like
Yeah,
to know
it's
more
true.
about that.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
Yeah. I have an overarching Taliyah thought, but I'm going to save it for after we talk about all the stories.
I love it.
Okay,
Okay.
sure. There's a lot here. It makes
So-
sense to kind of go back. All right. So I think Bird in the Branch. Bird and Branch. All right.
I don't really have I feel like I could probably summarize this one. We have a lot of stories, so I don't want to make you do them all, Mark.
Yeah, for the
Yeah,
record,
sure.
if you do plan on reading these, they are not posted on order, like in chronological order on
They're in
Universe.
reverse
so
order.
They are in reverse order. Read them in the order that we're going to talk about them, or you'll be very confused.
Although I guess if you listen to everything, you won't be confused anymore. But
Yeah.
I guess if you want the order first to read them first, it's The Bird in the Branch, Bloodline, Echoes in the Stone, and Hollow Spun. That is the
Yeah.
order that
Yeah.
they go in chronologically.
Have at it.
So The Bird in the Branch is it's about Taliyah meeting Yasuo and mostly that. And then a brief little bit at the end of her training and separating from him.
Also by Ariel Lawrence.
Oh, yes. Yes, Ariel Lawrence. So yeah, she has just swam ashore. She's now in Ionia. It's very cold. I think she has a new coat, so that's good. She's hungry. She's freezing. There's snow, and she sees Yasuo praying at a temple. So it seems like the first person she's seen in a while. But before she can do anything, an avalanche occurs very randomly. So she uses her power to have a rock protect her, but that I guess sends the avalanche right on top of Yasuo.
I guess.
Does it like redirect it? I don't really know.
I feel like
That
this
one
is
is
just
a big
another thing
thing.
where, like, I feel like, much like her mother, she's just blaming herself for something that was
something.
probably
That's how-
going to
yeah.
happen anyway.
Yeah. Also, Yasuo, like, would he just have like ate it and died here if Taliyah wasn't there? Like, could you imagine? That's how a league champion just
He was
died.
really deep in
He was
meditation,
really
man.
in that prayer or meditation. Yeah.
I'm almost positive he was drunk, passed out, and not meditating.
That would be even funnier.
That's
That's
way more
fucking great,
Yasuo.
yeah.
Because we've seen Yasuo in cinematics and shit, just kind of like drinking tea or shit, and then like there's all these arrows coming at him, and he's just like, yeah, I'm fine. And now, right when they're close, I'm gonna block them all because like I know they're happening. I've got that sixth sense. I don't know how a fucking avalanche sneaks up on you. He had to be drunk off his mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
I
really
like that.
doesn't make any sense whatsoever unless he's hammered, blackout, drunk.
Which he is. I don't think we get that as much in his story. We haven't gotten to a lot of his stories, but
Yeah.
fucking Ruined King, bitch is hammered all the time.
I don't think I realized that about Yasuo.
Yeah,
oh, he got a
he's
drinking
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, he stinks of liquor. It just
I
wafts
kind
off
of
him.
remember that from the Riven story.
Yeah.
But
Oh, and his
Yeah.
cinematic, I guess, with the with Yone, he starts that very drunk too.
Interesting. Okay. All right. So an avalanche happens and Yasuo's too pissed drunk to notice. But Taliyah assumes that she had something to do with it. So she rushes down, digs him out, uses her rock powers to lift him out of there. She saves his life, keeps him all warm. Eventually, I think he just starts training her, is kind of what we get, that he has become her mentor. It's just kind of jumping around. He calls her Little Sparrow, which is very cute, and Sparrow comes up a lot in her quotes. Yeah, and then I think the next thing that happens is that they finally go out. They go out to eat, they're hanging out at a pub. Eating. Taliyah's like finally seeing someone besides fucking Yasuo's face for, I don't know, a day, a week, 6 years? We have no idea. Is when Taliyah finds out that Azir has risen, so, they leave, and she's like, oh no, they don't leave. I'm forgetting the whole action scene. So people start to recognize Yasuo. Some guards come in. They say him, but this is the first time we hear Yasuo's name. Again, them just being mysterious.
She's heard Yasuo's name.
Which I'm fine with, that he didn't identify himself to her, because he probably hasn't gone by Yasuo in a while. Yeah, they kill the guards and escape. But Taliyah needs to go. She's like, we gotta part ways, my friend. Yasuo. He tells her to go to the Freljord first. I don't know if she does this, because the next time we see she's in... Oh, yeah, but we skipped that part, huh?
That was the most confusing thing to me, was like, when she's mentioning the time she spent in the Freljord, I'm like, fucking excuse me?
Right.
Why the hell were you in the Freljord? I was like tracing the path of journey from like Targon to Noxus to Ionia. I'm like, where the hell does the Freljord fit into that?
Right?
I don't know why Yasuo tells her to go to the Freljord. Maybe he just knows someone there that will help her get to Shurima.
He just says, like,
that's kind of the implication.
The Freljordians also hate Noxus. They'll help you get back to Shurima.
Yeah.
Which confused me at first, but then I realized, like, part of Noxus not having left Ionia yet is that they probably control all of the shores.
Yeah.
I doubt anyone on Ionia can get off of Ionia.
But if you can
just
get
because they want to.
But if you can get to the Freljord, doesn't that imply that you are able to run the blockade in the first place? And if you're able to do that, wouldn't you just go to Bilgewater like Yasuo does in Ruin King? I guess technically at that point, maybe the Noxian invasion is over. Again, he should probably say something like, you probably have like a line or two where she's like, well, isn't there like, Bilgewater or whatever? He's like, the waters are too dangerous, but you can get to Freljord because they don't. I don't know, because I
think even just him having like a connection in the Freljord is enough for me. Like, I don't trust anyone in Bilgewater. I don't know anyone there that's going to help you, but I can get you to this one person who's going to get you to Shurima.
Yeah, that's
maybe it's
reasonable.
Like a northern thing, like maybe like the western coast and southern coast are Noxus controlled because they're closest to Noxus and Shurima, and the northern side is free but only leads to Freljord.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that's kind of where this story ends.
Yeah, well, I mean, you kind of talked about it already, but I really want to highlight that the scene where they meet and just like kind of form their initial bond is immediately followed by the scene where they fight and then part ways. There's no time spent with them together, really.
It's such a bummer because I really like their interactions together. I had this first thought that things were like moving way too fast so they're in like this cave. She's just saved his life. She's like, I'm gonna go try to find us food. And as she's leaving, she's like, I think she's hearing his patronizing voice. She's already acting like he's been her mentor for like months, This is the way that she's approaching, like, I don't know, their relationship already. I'm like, you guys, he's not your mentor yet, And then, I don't know. Yeah, I wish... I
want to read the middle
Where's
of this
the
story.
in-between?
Right,
Yeah.
The Dawn gun cut out the middle.
I feel bad because I think the beginning's written very well, and it's already a long story, but I would have traded the beginning part for just everything in between once she meets Yasuo and once they part ways, because there's nothing there at all. And it's such a bummer. And there was this really great moment that I loved a lot when, Yasuo tells her, I didn't actually do the crime. They're accusing me of something that I didn't do. And she says, like, I know. Like, that she knows him well enough somehow within their training that we never got to see. She knows him well enough that she already believed him and that he didn't do this thing. And he looks really sad. And there was a line that said it would have been easier if she just had believed that he was a murderer. But because she like cares about him, that's like hurting him in some way. I'm like, that's so good. But make me care more about it by showing me the relationship because I haven't seen that.
Yeah, for sure. Right. And I think also when we start that scene in the end, they're coming off of a hard day of training where the lesson did not go well, and I think I would really like to see some of, because the whole thing with her leaving is he's kind of like warning her again, like you said, Yoda, like, oh, you haven't finished your Jedi training, Taliyah, you gotta, you're not in full control. So I'd like to know, what does that mean, right? When, like, how does that manifest, and when she's trying to do her stone shit, what happens aside from like fucking up their clothes, I guess.
An interesting thing too that I just thought of, so we know that Taliyah's whole thing is that she's got all this power, that she's afraid to use it. She's exercising too much restraint and needs to kind of let go. And that seems like the opposite of the journey that Yasuo has been on, where he has always just gone all out and has spent so long trying to learn restraint. It seems odd that he's going to be the teacher for how to let go now. Well,
it could be interesting to see that collide, and maybe he could learn from her in some ways. That could be a really interesting dynamic that we never saw.
Almost like they're learning from each other. I don't know, No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just have random quotes, so if you have overarching thoughts, I'd love to hear them.
There are little details in here that I also, to me, feel like details have been missed. And I think what I would point to is, like I said, Taliyah has lived her whole life in the desert. She's never been on the ocean. She's never seen snow. She's in Ionia, which from what we saw in like Sisterhood of War is a pretty wackadoo place. But there's never a moment where she's like, snow. I've heard of that before, but I've never felt how cold it, like, it's something like that. Or like seeing weird shit in Ionia. And I think also, I could be wrong, but I don't think Taliyah's ever seen someone killed in like violently in front of her, and like 5 dudes get killed by Yasuo and she helps him do it. And look, it's self-defense, sure, but if I told you right now that I killed 5 people in self-defense, that would color your perception of me a little, right?
She may have seen some of that in Noxus, but maybe. I'm not sure when she was with the Noxians, but in which case that should be kind of brought up. Yasuo does ult, I didn't mention that, but she knocks like a guard up and then he's just there to ult. Yeah. Like, I did like that detail. I always like when they can work in.
Yeah, I like her action, the action little sequence. I like her stuff a lot because it's really well visual. It's really easy to visualize when they describe the stuff she's doing, and it's pretty neat. But she seems in total control. I guess I'll say also that like she's not like, oh, I fucked up. Like, right, you would think that she would fuck up and then Yasuo kind of has to like step in and 1v5 or something like that because she doesn't quite have it all down or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
To your point too about the whole death thing at the beginning of the story, when she did run away from the whole like ship that she got pushed out of, it did also say at first she ran, and then when she could no longer hear the breaking bones of the Ionian farmers and Noxian soldiers, then she walked.
That is true.
It's like there's a very good chance that she was close enough to witness a lot of that carnage.
That's fair. Looks like she kind of swam ashore a battle that was already happening.
That is true. I guess that's the thing where, like, I would think when we open the story and find her, she's at a pretty low point. She's alone, lost in a strange land, and has no food. Right? You would think that you would, and having gone through that whole traumatic experience on the beach, she seems pretty plucky and like not terribly miffed about the whole situation, which I know she's pretty optimistic, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Your video also just got real wonky.
Yeah, really
and
shit
the
the
audio
bed.
started cutting out a lot.
Really? Okay. I don't know. I can rejoin
You're
the call.
good now. You're not cutting out anymore. You're good.
Weird. Okay. Great.
Let's see. Oh yeah, by the way, her uncle is named Adnan. We find that out.
I do like the constant mentions of her tribe, and I do feel like I really wanted them to reunite by the time I was done with all these stories. Like, I just wanted to find her mom.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned she was annoyed at Yasuo, so the quote leading up to that, he had said, "A bird's trust is not in the branch beneath her." Taliyah had stopped listening, which I do feel like Yasuo would be exhausting to hang out with. He sounds a lot like Shen, but more drunk.
Which might make it more fun. No, probably not.
He just makes even less sense. I do like.
Yeah.
I was really laughing when they're first at the end. He is so like edgelord, like D&D character. He's like got to find the one dark corner, and he has to go sit and skulk in it. It's like, I love the idea that they went through like 3 or 4 inns, and they're like, there's not a dark enough corner for me to sit in.
Too well lit in here.
I'm trying to do a Strider thing, and like this isn't gonna work.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
For the record, I do also like that whole quote that Yasuo says to her. She then has that quote, and that's one of her voice lines.
Oh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
One thing that makes me wonder if they've only met for like 3 weeks is when she sees Yasuo, she's like, "Do you remember me?" And I'm like, I feel like if they had more of a relationship.
We hung out for that long weekend, remember?
Yeah, we hung out that
Catalina
weekend.
Island.
We killed like 4 dudes together. It was so cool. I gave you my thread that is your ponytail now. Yeah. What did Yasuo's hair look like before that?
See, it made me curious because in the cinematic where he's a kid, it's still pulled back.
Oh, maybe
Yeah,
he had a
that's
brief
true.
time where it wasn't.
He was trying it down.
It was his
He's just-
disguise.
Yeah, it is. He's like, this is not working.
He's Clark Kenting it. He's just, I wear it down.
It's not working. It didn't work there. Maybe that's when he
Yeah.
decided I might as well put it up again.
I will say I also kind of like, because she's coming back to Shurima with the assumption that Azir is going to enslave everybody, and she seems to have only really caught that word from these 2 traders who come in and kind of like, oh, I hear your emperor is back. So I kind of I like that. I don't know what Azir is actually up to. I don't know if he's actually into like got that idea in his head. It seemed like he would. Who knows? But I like that she's more operate. That it's not. What am I trying to say? That like in universe she has unreliable information and is kind of working off of that. That's a little more interesting than, I don't know, Azir himself coming out and proclaiming like, "Oh, you're all my slaves now."
Yeah.
So,
And she still doesn't know, even being in Shurima. And a lot of people she runs into, they know Azir's back, but they don't really know what his plan is. And some people are like, let's go find out. And some people are like, I don't want to fucking know. Get me away from you.
I kind of like that. It makes me really
Yeah, me
sad that
too.
Riot has obviously abandoned Azir and Xerath to like, we're not going to do anything with this shit. Because I like the kind of big sense of uncertainty that's kind of happening in there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this does come up a few times, too. Well, it actually comes as in a later... I'll talk about it in a later story. That's where it comes up more. But...
Little hint for the future.
Yeah, I know, right? I do like, though, that the fact that Azir is all about his slaves is something that has persisted through the history books, so that modern people do also. He wasn't painted as a hero after his death.
Yeah,
like, that Azir guy. Oh no, he sucked.
And we didn't know that when we were in Azir. I thought Azir was always seen as a hero. So it is nice to get like these later stories and to find that people are like, oh god, he's back. Oh, ew.
Yeah, I mean that feels genuine, right? Like, could you imagine if? I mean, no offense to George Washington, but if George Washington came back and was like, I think I'm going to be president again, it's like, I don't know, man.
I'm pretty sure that any disease would just kill him immediately, so don't worry about it.
He's ascended George Washington. He's taken the form of a bald eagle.
Get him, no. It's a nightmare, an actual nightmare.
Oh man, that sounds kind of cool. Actually, I want to.
Not George Washington though. Can we pick? I don't know who I would pick though.
William Henry Harrison.
I'll trust you on that.
Franklin Pierce.
Now we're just gonna name who are the most like mundane, obscure presidents that you can think of.
John just went to Franklin Pierce University, so that's why he said that's probably the only reason he knows that name too.
100%. It's one of those things where you go there for a year or two, and then you find out that it's named after a president. And you're like, oh
shit, was he a good one or?
He was an alcoholic. Okay.
It could be a lot worse.
So one thing that I thought was interesting in this action piece, so they say, Yasuo slipped through the crowd of soldiers trapped in the room. They brandished their weapons, foolishly trying to parry the sword that stormed around them, its metal arcing like lightning. It was too late. Yasuo's blade flashed in and out of the men, trailing lethal ribbons of red in a whirlwind behind them. And, y'all, you could have made... I feel like y'all could have made it out of here without that. I don't think you needed to do all the murder. And, if it's a matter of like, oh well, they're just gonna keep coming for me, like they're definitely gonna keep coming for you now. And if you were innocent of the first murder, you're definitely guilty of these ones. And like,
yeah,
it's not even like they're thugs that were hired to like rough you up and bring you in. Like they came in like, you killed our esteemed master. Like we've got to take you in, Yasuo. And they're like, oh, you'll have to kill me first, and then fucking murders him.
That is true. He does go back there too, and like his name gets cleared at some point, right? Was it with the Riven story?
It was with the Riven story.
And are they like, but Yasuo, my father was
all right,
one
next,
of the army.
Next, I have Yasuo versus the 5 families. Like, oh yeah, that's me. He just turns right back around.
That's my bad. You go, no witnesses. I killed them. Yeah, I was surprised that he was killing them. When I noticed that he was, I was like, oh, I thought like these were your people.
Yeah.
Okay, go off,
and
King.
The lack of hesitation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
From Taliyah too.
Yeah, they've done this before. Absolutely.
Yeah, why not write it that they're like Nox? Well, I guess Noxians wouldn't have any reason to come get him. Maybe but you know what? They're just whatever. I don't know.
Even if they were just like thugs that were like like they were like
Navori Brotherhood type folk, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they were high.
Just
they were
like,
trying to collect a bounty.
They were bounty
right?
hunters. Yeah, fucking
that would
go
have been
for them. But they're like, oh no, these are the guards. They're here to bring you to justice for a murder that obviously you didn't do it, but they think you did. They really think you murdered this dude, and they want to take you to trial.
Now, to be fair, they were going to kill him. They were not trying to take him to trial. They did shoot arrows and shit at him. I guess that's
fair. Yeah.
I thought they told him to surrender, or he didn't.
No, they shoot the longbow and the crossbow at him, and he wind walls, and then shit pops off. But you're not wrong. He didn't have to kill them because he obviously outclasses them to such a degree that he could probably have just left.
Break some legs, or
right? Yeah. Kneecaps.
In the Yasuo cinematics we get, like where we get to see him just like fucking styling on fools, like he very rarely. I mean, I guess I'm talking more specifically of the Wild Rift one, which probably not canon, but like he's styling on fools. There, he's beating them with a teaspoon because he just wants to have his tea.
Yeah, right. I mean, look. If you look
he murders his brother a little bit, but
well, that's a misunderstanding. All right, but if you look, the guy is like. Has a literal tornado going through like a rank of Noxian soldiers in Awaken. Maybe these 5 not Ionian guards can just be let them work, let them live, right? Right. Looney Tunes it. They're all just like sitting there with like stars over their heads. Yeah. Oh, Yasuo. Well, you know what? It's like you said. He goes all out. Okay, he goes big or he goes home, or I guess.
Well, he can't go home now.
He goes big and avoids home. Goes big and goes to fucking Bilgewater, I guess.
Yeah.
I can't imagine him in Bilgewater. It's so weird.
Well, he goes to Yasuo Island while he's there, so it's just imagine Yasuo Island.
I feel like people would make fun of his hair so bad in Bilgewater. Like he would just be bullied relentlessly.
I wish that was the case. They're constantly bullying Yasuo.
Right.
He would probably just stab him, though. I don't know. Maybe he's learned control by that point.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to do Bloodlines next. Is that what's next
by
on
Graham McNeil.
So it's a nice short one.
And we've never talked about it before, so let's really get into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, this is our first time talking about Bloodline.
We talked about this one so much.
But
I actually read the Taliyah parts more this time.
Yeah, likewise. I had skimmed them a lot before.
Right.
Yeah. Now I just skim the Nasus parts.
Which is the bulk of it. So, it's, but it follows kind of Taliyah. She is, I think it starts with her on a caravan, is that right? Where she's kind of heading towards, I didn't write it down. Fucking...
I remember the city.
Vakuth, I think
Vakora. I'm pretty sure because it makes me think of Pakora. Yeah.
And I remember I thought it sounded like vermouth, and then I looked up the name and I was like, wow, this is nothing like vermouth. I was way wrong. So yeah,
that
what you said.
Right.
Yeah, that plays. And I think she is like thinking about like, it had just been a ruin, but there's the person she had been talking to is kind of talking about like, oh no, it's back, Azir's back on the scene. It's the city is revitalized. She's kind of it's Graham McNeil piece that's super vivid about her kind of like, it's great to be back in Shurima, it's, Freljord, whatever is nice, but this is like, back home, and they kind of come up on the city and she sees, it's definitely, it's bustling, even though it's still kind of ruins that they're building a city kind of out of. She's going around. She had run into a woman who's been injured, Sivir, and so she is working on getting supplies for herself, but also for Sivir, because she had promised to take care of her, and that's definitely something that we see with Taliyah across almost all her stories, is she will put others first and help them at her own expense or whatever. So she's running around Vakora and runs right into the back of this guy who's like super hooded up and is super big, and his legs don't bend the right way. Don't worry, it's fine. It's Nasus. And then she's like, "Oops, sorry." And he's like, "Off you go. Be careful." And then she scampers off.
Pats her head.
Right. And here's a shiny gold quarter for your trope.
that.
Don't spend it all in one place.
A lot of it's like the Nasus doing his thing around the city, but it kind of cuts back to Taliyah with another injured champion in her midst. She's with Sivir, and they're kind of just back and forth things. Sivir's waking up. She's telling Sivir what's going on. "Oh, I found you injured. Where am I at?" Etc. Nasus is back doing his thing. Xerath is coming. That's the big issue, is that Xerath's coming up on the city. He's rolling up because he's there to kill Sivir, I suppose. And so Nasus kind of seeks out Sivir and stumbles into Taliyah and Sivir, and Nasus gives them the 411, right? Like, "Hey, Xerath is around. He's going to kill you. He's a big evil magus." Taliyah's kind of asking about like Azir, and I think she even asks, does Azir plan to enslave everybody? And Nasus is like, "Well, I don't know, but he is going to kill Xerath."
Can't say no.
Can't say no. That's not a definite. But he stands against Xerath, so I'm with him. And so Taliyah, Nasus kind of convinces Sivir, like, "You need to get out of here. You need to leave." And she kind of does on Nasus's promise that he'll help protect people in the city, and he goes to go do that. Sivir starts, I guess, heading out of town. Nasus fights Xerath, and he gets his shit pushed in, and as he's about to get like buried under rubble and not killed, but just left there for Renekton to come kill him later, the stone under him kind of up around him to protect him. This like they're pulling a Rise of the Sentinels, right? Xerath is dropping a building on him, and so the stone rises up to meet the rubble. And he realizes that he's not dead. I'm not dead. This is cool. He pushes his way out of this like stone like dome bubble that has kind of formed around him to protect him. And he sees that many of those other like stone domes have popped up all over the city to help protect various citizens. And he's like, he kind of like, I don't know, he wishes like off into the distance. He's like, "Nice one, Taliyah. Good job." He raises a glass to her, and I don't think she shows up actually in this story again. Assumedly, she had helped people and then left.
I don't think so.
But that's mostly it. She doesn't really do a ton. She's mostly there to kind of interrogate Sivir and help people, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good story, though, which
it's
we've
a good
talked
story.
about before. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is after. This is kind of where they first mentioned that she was in the Freljord. They said, "Ionia was wondrous, and the frozen landscapes of the Freljord were stunning in their own way," which confused me at first, but then I went back and read them in the right order, and it was all clarified. Now what I'm curious about is why we don't hear more about Taliyah in any of the other like Freljord champion stories, because it kind of seems like the girl who can keep herself warm by vibrating the rocks on her cloak would be kind of a big deal in the Freljord.
Yeah.
Sure. I think it's a big missed opportunity, because we talked at length many times now about like, hey, there's a nice little parallel running between these two places. Tribal culture is really big in both of them, and she's very big into that, or she's just hooked into it, right? So why not spend a story there, and you could do all sorts of fun stuff. It made me think back when we were doing Lee Sin, Udyr came by Ionia to do a little training to get some control for a little bit. Maybe she can tag along with Udyr for a bit, and maybe he would be very different from Yasuo, right? And you could kind of contrast. And he's tooling around with the Winter's Claw, which she wouldn't be down with. So you can have all sorts of fun conflict there with that type of situation.
I think you could explain finishing up her training to a point here too.
Yeah.
Which would be good. If you want to insist that she left Yasuo beforehand, that's fine. I think that could be really interesting. I also really, I meant to mention this earlier, I'd really like to see more interaction with other Noxians, because I feel like when she got to Noxus, it was at such a point, right? And she has a really, really negative idea of Noxus, which is totally understandable. I don't think she's ever going to side with Noxus, but she really ran into people who really, really wanted to use her in such a bad way. And I don't think every Noxian would. And I'm just kind of curious about that.
So my guess, too, and this could also be part of, I guess, why they did the whole pushing off the boat as opposed to making it to the shore and her running away, is like, my perception is that Noxus probably thinks she's dead, or she has been sentenced to death, and the only reason they're not after her is because they already think she's dead. So, or at the very least, if that's not the case, that's probably what she thinks, which would kind of explain why she's like, all right, let's stay the fuck away from Noxians because I don't want them coming after me anymore.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally play into that with, like, maybe the Black Rose sends out Samira after her, or a Samira counter, like, competitor type person, some non-champion who we can kill at some point. You know,
they find out she can move rocks, and then they're like, oh, can she be a metal bender too? We're going to need her for a fight against Mordekaiser.
Sure. We find Rel, we put Taliyah into Rel, and then so...
Bada bing, bada boom, we're done. It's like a turducken. It was not our human centipede, and I prefer a turducken.
It was a good choice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like this. I do like this story. As like I was saying, the descriptions of the way she's experiencing being back in Shurima are pretty. They're pretty cool. It's just really. I like the writing.
Yeah, I like
very,
how different it is too. Like, this is her home, but something she noted was like seeing two people from tribes that were warring when she left are now like standing together, and she's like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Sure. Yeah.
The hell happened when I left?
Right.
Yeah, and it seems
I've been gone for X years. What happened?
How much could change in years, right?
A bus goes by when she says it.
I could be wrong, but I think, isn't that also sort of supposed to be that that is happening because people are kind of caught up in the wave of, like, Azir's back, and, you know, we're the Shuriman Empire again, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So I kind of like that yeah, Azir's a prick, and there's probably a lot bad coming with him, but that it's in turn having these almost kind of good knock-on effects of, like, ending of hostilities. I'm liking that. It's adding some depth to it, you know?
Yeah.
Especially at this time, too, where I'm sure a lot of these smaller villages and shit like that in Shurima, like, all of them at this point have had to have heard about the Void just fucking swallowing up cities.
That's true.
Like,
the Void's growing to such a point.
Yeah.
It's very Watchmen. Like, of them getting together.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, most definitely. But
So there's a quote here, and this was kind of what I was talking about before. She was talking to people to get the lay of the land, get some information. So most of it was conflicting and fantastical. Visions of sand warriors, blizzards of lightning from clear skies, rivers flowing where no water had run. Which, like, this seems a little judgmental for someone who's seen what the fuck you've seen. Like, you literally apprenticed a dude who could create tornadoes just with his sword.
But that's in a land she's unfamiliar with. This is Shurima. She knows Shurima.
You bend rocks.
Shurima. Yeah.
yeah, well, whatever.
People have done that. There was a great weaver who can bend rocks, I guess.
That's a god.
And now she is too. Shut up.
But yeah, I also like the fact that, like, Azir being back. Okay, I believe that. That's enough to get me back to Shurima. But sand warriors? That's outrageous.
You can just make something out of, like, some material, some element, and use that? Come on now.
Fucking bullshit. Reading too many books.
Oh yeah, so there was another thing too. They kind of mentioned here that they kind of implied here that she hides her abilities a lot of the time, because she said, like, with no one around, she can make much better time. So, like, you know, she's not using her stone bending if there are people watching, which, you know, kind of also, I guess, think maybe leads credence to the fact that she is worried about Noxus too. Like, they don't want the stories of the stone bender they thought was dead getting back to them. But it also does raise the point, maybe don't wear a stone cloak. That makes you a little conspicuous. Not a lot of people wear stone cloaks.
I mean, it's not
Those are
fully
heavy.
made of stone, right?
There's like, it's like a stone collar, and the bottoms of all of them are
She does
just
have a stone ear.
Maybe
It's-
it just looks like stones. You know, it's like a hot new trend.
She just explains,
It's like
just
styrofoam.
fishing line. It's just, it's a...
Yeah. It's woven together and spray painted. Yeah.
This took
actually
me
really
18
light. Don't
hours
touch
to
it.
put together.
And
It's
also,
like-
she has gold sewn into it. Shit's got to be heavy as
It's
fuck.
on the inside. I think
still gotta be
some
heavy,
people
though.
can't see it.
I did like that detail that she sews her money into her clothes so she can't get robbed,
Yeah.
assumedly.
Yeah,
Pretty
she's
smart.
been to Shurima before. This ain't her first rodeo. Let's see. When she does meet, or when she is kind of helping Sivir, she makes that observation that she has a ton of scars, but only one in her back. She's like, oh, whoever this woman was, only one of her enemies had not met her face to face. Which, to Cass's credit, after Sivir survives a certain amount of assassination attempts, you should stop going for her face to face. Y'all gotta stop that shit. She hasn't lost. I mean, she's gotten injured a ton, but y'all keep dying, and Cass is the only one who is like, oh no, I could do this from behind, and she can't do anything.
Can I bring up again that they redid Sivir Splash again, and she still doesn't have scars all over? Like, I would really like to see like her as like a really battered warrior.
Yeah. Maybe
I feel like
yeah.
Samira actually like is way more kind of in line with what I would, because she kind of
Yeah.
does have some scars and
That's
a missing
true.
eye.
Yeah, like if you were to describe Sivir to me, I would have pictured Samira over Sivir for sure.
Sure, and it's not like even so far as like Samira's got her little taunt or whatever with the gold coin and shit, which seems right out of Sivir's playbook,
so
right?
Sivir,
Gold and
yeah.
shit.
Right?
Yeah,
That's all right. Well,
what you gonna do?
Let's see. She's got an interaction with Sivir where she's like, do I know you? Does your tribe want me dead? Taliyah frowned. No, I don't think so. We're herders, weavers, travelers. We don't really want anyone dead. Then you're one of the few who don't. Which, like, what a flex. You know Sivir was a
she's
little proud
cool as
to say
shit,
that.
though, man.
I was like, you're one of the few who don't.
Yeah, you know, and yeah, she's got the scars to fucking back it up, and she's right. She's not even
bleeding out.
exaggerating. Yeah. I do like that Taliyah comes from like this very peaceful tribe in Shurima, because Shurima is just everything we've
ruthless,
gotten
yeah.
is so ruthless. Yeah, and they're like, oh, we make clothes and goats. I don't think they make the goats, but
They facilitate the goat making process, right?
yeah. They
They
observe.
help those goats fuck.
Yes, thank you.
Those are two different men there, Mark. Just they facilitate the goat making process, and John, they help the goats fuck. That's really
They show them how it's done.
get you a man who can do both, right?
So
man.
uncouth.
Now, this last bit is a big question I have for Taliyah that's going to extend into further
Oh,
stuff for her. So Taliyah just straight up shielded an entire city from a Xerath ult. Like it was nothing.
yeah, that seems
Now-
kind of important.
Now, Nasus just got his ass kicked hardcore with his whole like melee attempt. That didn't work out well for Nasus. I'm not convinced that Taliyah could not just take Xerath. Like,
I mean, it's all lightning powers, right? She controls rocks. Like, I played Pokemon. I know how this goes.
right? And we're gonna see this again in the Climb cinematic, where I'm pretty sure that's Xerath shooting his ult at her again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And she's just fucking surfing on the rocks, blocking his shit like it is absolutely nothing.
I am curious, does Xerath now know about her? And I imagine he would definitely want her fucking gone if he
Sure.
does. And his ear would be like, oh my god, who is that girl? Bring her here right now.
right?
Yeah, it's almost like it's
Oh,
a
I
big,
like the idea of Azir hunting her, actually, to use her.
Kind
That
of in the-
seems something like he would do.
yeah, right. And he would kind of be doing the same thing with Sivir. It's almost like this is the big opening like sequence to a huge cool narrative that this has been dropped like a sack of fucking potatoes, right?
That doesn't sound like something they would do. What?
Yeah.
It's certainly not twice with Taliyah alone. With two separate, really huge, overarching storylines.
I like how they had all this, and then years pass after this bloodline story. And they're like, well, let's just put her with the Void.
We're going to do something really cool with them. This is going to be... It'll make up for dropping that last story.
Yeah, the Void's going to be cooler, guys. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, sure. Void Event 2023, for sure. Yeah.
2024, maybe. But we're going to get it. It's going to happen.
One of these days.
One of these days, right?
That was all the notes I had for that.
All right.
Because we've got... I mean, the next story is really short, and I don't think we'll have a ton to say about it. So.
Yeah.
Also by Ariel Lawrence.
Yep. So Echoes in the Sand? Or Echoes in the Stone? Stone. I didn't write it down. I assumed I'd remember. Sand seemed to make more sense, but here we are.
They're all technically in... The stone is in the sand, so it counts.
Sure. I mean, that's a genuine question. Can she control sand? It's little stones. Maybe you have to really focus.
It is a big question, because then she definitely would also be able to take Azir.
Sure.
She's just fucking up all the Ascended left and right.
Well, I mean, she's kind of positioned to be someone to do that type of thing, frankly. If she got enough control and experience and whatever. That's like the bloodbending type thing. You got to have so much ability.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is actually following up after Bloodlines. She is making her way downtown to the
like a nerd.
the re-risen Shreeman capital. She references, I believe, Sivir as like that woman in Vakora and not Sivir. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Whatever.
We do this all the fucking time, dude.
Which, if you remember from the Sivir episode, we had an entire segment dedicated to all the things people call Sivir other than Sivir.
Good point. But she's following her direction, and she's following a stream, and kind of as she's following it, the river, like the water is like, there's more and more as she's going towards this place. And essentially when she gets there, she sees that there's a bunch of people there, but they're all kind of camped out outside, and everyone's sort of in this weird state of like, no one quite knows what to do. There's not anyone running the whole situation. It's just a bunch of randoms have all kind of gathered up because of the word that Azir is back in town. But there is this big crazy lightning storm that's also approaching. So some people are like, we need to get in. Some people are like, we're going to stay and try and weather the storm. And it's just a big air of confusion, but it's all very panicky. And this woman there she's just kind of asking like, hey, what's the deal? What's going on? And I'm looking for my family. She's looking for her family there, asking about, have you seen like weavers? And this woman she's talking to is kind of like, the initials that this woman is super into Azir. She's a big gung-ho Azir person.
Big
She's like,
Azir head.
yeah, the Hawk Emperor is back.
Right.
Azir's back 2024. Shurima.
Welcome to the Hawksters.
It's just like there were some weavers that went in there early. They're probably in the city. I don't think that, like, no one who's gone in has come out, but surely this is the place to be. And she almost, like, in the tide of like the crowd and like this panic situation is this kind of ends up inside the city walls.
What a weird thing to not take as a red flag. Yeah, they're probably in there. No one who's come in has come out.
Well, they might find it safe. You don't know.
Yeah. That's yeah. Who knows? But she gets in, and everyone's kind of coming to the walls, and again, everyone's just kind of milling about because they're like, we don't really know what's going on. There's not like a tour guide or anything, and there are guards, but they're all just kind of standing around and just very like stoic and not moving at all. And if you play the game, obviously they're decked out in the same thing as Azir's sand soldiers in the game. And she's like, okay, this is fucking weird. And the longer she spends in it, the weirder it feels. And then she puts her hand on like a wall, and it's as though the memory of like the big to-do when Azir's ascension fucked up has been kind of seared into like almost the memory of the stone. I don't know if it's because of a big magical event or whatever. And that's when she realizes, oh, this is not at all good. This is not a city. This is just a big tomb that just has been brought out, and I need to find my family. And that's kind of where it ends.
Yeah, it's pretty short. Not to go back to this, but I feel like for some reason this just triggered in my mind, and now I'm upset about her not referencing Sivir by her name. When she finds out Sivir's name, she's like, oh, what is your name? And she's like, oh, I'm Sivir. The first thing she says is, yeah, I knew Sivir. I knew her name way before she told me, and I could tell even by looking at her that was Sivir. Just call her Sivir.
Right.
That woman from Vakora?
That lady. That scarred woman. Yeah.
I wonder sometimes if they do this because they want to leave room for, like, what if they change Sivir so drastically that it wouldn't, I don't know, she didn't ever meet Taliyah, so, like, Taliyah has to have this line vague enough that, I don't know.
The tail woman incident.
Yeah, it's
The
so dumb.
I would love this. I actually would love this if any time another champion was referenced, like, and they're not literally in the story, it's just some bullshit like that. The Windman, the dog guy, like, it's, oh man, I'm loving it.
That mechanical cyborg werewolf from Zon could be anyone. Could be anyone.
What a way to describe Warwick. That's so good.
I hope that's his subtitle.
Anyway. Oh my god, it fucking better be if it's not. Alright, you better change that before we get to the W's.
You got time. We got time.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a question.
Sure.
Presumably this storm is the Xerath thing, right? Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is it getting closer? Isn't he looking for...
Maybe he's looking for
Sivir?
Taliyah now.
Maybe he's looking to rumble. He's drunk. He just got done
he's
making
in the
some back
wrong
eyes.
area if he's looking for Rumble.
John.
Actually, he's not. Rumble's in Shurima last we saw him, frankly.
Oh, God, you're right.
Oh my god,
Shit.
that's true, huh?
Style the
Damn.
Although he's not here. He's somewhere else. He's in
He's
Noxian
somewhere.
territory.
Who knows?
He's looking for an old grandpa. Yeah.
Yeah, but, looking for Sivir, we know a few things about Sivir. Mm-hmm. One, fucking does not want to be anywhere near Azir, and we know where Azir is, so that seems like the one place you shouldn't look for Sivir.
Maybe he doesn't
Literally
know
everywhere else in Shurima.
Yeah.
I was a little confused. Is she in the city? Is Taliyah in the city that Azir is now in?
That was my
is she close to
understanding.
Azir?
Yeah. Is
Okay.
that it's yeah,
It's
right.
wild that the next story we get is Hollow Spun, and we have, again, nothing in between this. Did she meet Azir? Did she leave right away?
Did she give up on her family altogether?
I know, right? Did she realize her family wasn't here? But she had heard that they were, so I don't know.
It's a big stumble.
I do like...
So there is... I will say the one thing they do... The one big takeaway I got from this story as to why this might lead into Hollow Spun is the fact that this city is back up. The whole way that Taliyah was tracking her family was to follow the trail of the waters that her family usually follows, because they, year after year, the waters go in very predictable ways. So she would have been able to track her family, very little problem. The problem being, when this city rose out of the ground, all of the waters flowed into this city, and now none of the normal routes that she would have used to track her family are there anymore. So she's just fucking flying blind.
Sure. I mean, I like that a lot.
I guess that might explain how she can swim. If her family's always following some kind of water.
I guess I assumed it's like up to your knees type water.
Yeah,
right?
like desert water. Yeah.
You can float, maybe. Don't get me wrong, but that is neat. Like, I like that idea a lot, and I guess I would like to see a bit where Taliyah almost is like, I don't know, panicking at that realization that I have no way of knowing, and maybe she spends some time in the city and realizes that, like, they're not here, or pretty sure they're not here, and it's too weird and creepy and dangerous to spend time in, and it's like, what do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah. I think something that would make sense for her is, tribes probably talk. So, and when we see her in Hollow Spun, she's trying to help people, like she does. That's what she does. So maybe she's thinking, word will spread that there's a girl who can weave stone, and it will get back to my family, and they'll know I'm in Shurima. And maybe if we're both looking for each other, we'll have a better shot.
Hopefully we'll have better luck than the Darkin, who are also looking for each other and both in Shurima and can't fucking find each other.
Yeah, one of them's a bunch of dogs.
One of them is just a bunch of dogs. Have you seen dogs? They're dumb as hell.
A bunch of dogs in a trench coat.
I like that idea a lot, Rebecca, because that makes me think of Ezreal, where like he wants to get to find his parents by being so brash and whatever. And who is Ezreal kind of hooked into? Maybe Kaisa, and maybe Kassadin, and maybe they all meet up together in one big...
Ooh, they're all just trying to find their parents.
Right?
Oh my god, they'd be like a little reality show. When Kaisa doesn't understand why she's a part of it, and then there's this big reveal. Actually, Kaisa, your father is alive. What?
She runs
I
backstage.
want this show. So
Yeah, she's like, oh my god, no, they're making it up. And
Just
Talia's like,
constant
it's
beeps.
okay.
Oh fuck! Oh fuck! Oh my god! I can see it. I can see it so good.
I want this reality show now
Right?
so bad.
can that be season 2 of Arcane?
John, can you come up with a name for me, please, of the three of them trying to find their parents?
Oh, God.
You can take the rest of the episode
Okay,
to
all right,
think
I'll
of it.
think about it.
Do
It'll
you
be in
watch
the
enough
back of our
reality
minds.
TV? Because I don't
Yeah.
watch it.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know what these would be
yeah.
called.
Great. That's all he'll be able to think about the whole episode.
I know, right? Don't worry, I'll think of something. I did have a note here too that like feeling the echoes. She mentions that like this place is particularly bad. You know, the echoes of the dead because a shit ton of people died here. But she can also feel the echoes of the dead in normal stone. But it's not a big deal. But I imagine Shurima must be an awful place for that because so many fucking people die here and it's all stone basically.
Yeah, I'm sure it's like the only thing that's left, right? Yeah.
I do like that. I'm sorry.
No, no,
You just like shrugged at me. Like,
Whatever.
that's fine.
don't worry about it.
Do you want to go? What
No,
were we
no,
gonna say?
no. No, go ahead.
I feel like from Azir's perspective, him rising again and raising up the city seemed like a great, golden, wonderful thing. He was bringing the city back. And then from Taliyah's perspective, she calls it a tomb. And I really do like this kind of dark, creepy, horrible version of it that it actually is.
Right.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like makes me think a little like the Shadow Isles, right? Like some stuff like that type situation. Yeah, that's why I like this story a lot. It's so short, but it feels very effective. Like the sense of like just no one knows what the fuck's going on. No one there's no one running anything. Everyone's just kind of caught in this weird panic, and it's just a bunch of like. Cattle is like the best way I can describe it. Like just like herd mentality of like go into the city, and then they're in there and it's like I don't know what the fuck we do. There's these weird guards who don't talk, I guess, and just stand there. There's no like crime happening, I suppose.
And what's Azir doing? Is he just watching people
It's like
get here? And he's like,
the gift
yes,
shops are
people-
open.
Yeah. And it's just like these empty. There's like bones inside the hole. Feast.
Clean those out. You eat sand, right?
That's what you eat, right? I do not remember.
I'll chew it for you.
He just rains vomit down on everybody. I'm caring for you. Yo, fuck is here, man.
Oh fuck. I was gonna say I do like the being able to sense the like echoes, maybe not even just the dead of like the past in stones, and I wish that ability had been pulled back into other previous stories. Like
Yeah, she'd mentioned that it had happened before, but we never saw that. We were just told that. So
Sure.
yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right.
Hello, Spun.
Hello.
We talk about this a lot with Hello.
Hello.
Spun. This is very much a Kaisa story
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, it's from Kaisa's perspective. But Taliyah does have a big role in it. For Kaisa's part, she's hunting void creatures. She's following this tunnel. She's following this tunnel, and she's seeing a bunch of void creatures, and they're weird and new. Like, void creatures are always weird, I suppose, but these ones are, like, new, weird ones that she hasn't seen before. And she starts kind of fighting them, and she realizes she's kind of out of position and caught, like, amongst a bunch of them, and it's sort of like a dire situation. And then all of a sudden, she gets some help. Like, the sand starts crumbling down beneath the creatures, and she's trying to climb. Yeah, the whatever, man. The fucking earth falls beneath them, and she's trying to climb out because she's kind of down below the surface of the earth. And these handholds start popping out of the walls, and she climbs up and realizes, Taliyah is there, and Taliyah is the one who had kind of helped her. And what's going on is that Taliyah has a bunch of people. It's like a lot of like young kids and elderly folks, so a lot of people who are probably not really able to fend for themselves or like really protect themselves out here on the desert, and they're trying to make it to a place called Jolan, I guess we'll say Zolan, I don't know, Xolan, whatever. Because there's the rumor is that it's a safe haven, it's safe from the void. All these people have had their towns consumed by the void, and Taliyah is trying to help them get to safety. Now Kaisa is very mercenary about the whole thing and is like, look, you're not gonna fucking make it. You need to cut your weakest links, and you'll be able to get across with what's left. But Taliyah kind of is very stubborn and refuses. And they eventually part ways, and Kaisa just goes back down into the tunnel, and she kind of notes that this tunnel has been going in a straight line, and it's going straight eastward, like in the direction that they're heading, that Taliyah and her people are heading towards Sholan, I guess. And then she's kind of going along. She also is kind of cottoned on that seems like there's the new Voidlings and the old Cersei don't get along. They don't like each other. There's some sort of rift happening between them. And she hears
some
screaming.
Sort of void rift.
Yeah. Very good. Rebecca looks disgusted. And she hears screaming, and it is Taliyah's people. And what had been happening is they were trying to cross a part of the sand. Taliyah had formed a big stone bridge over it for them to walk across. And is it Samir? Is that his name?
Yeah,
Sammy?
Samir.
Yeah. Sammy.
Sammy boy!
Sammy! Who she is.
Sammy!
Sam, get out of there. Get out of the sand. Sam, who she had met before, is he's a little braggart, had fallen off the bridge and is down, trapped below. And Taliyah doesn't want to leave him, but she also is kind of like, she can't keep this bridge up forever. It's strain, too much strain. But she goes in after him. Kaisa has a moment where she was going to kill some kids to scare them off so they would all run away, but she doesn't, because she's determined to not be as much of a prick, and she instead goes to go help Taliyah. And Taliyah is down there, and she's protecting Samir from the Voidlings. Kaisa goes down to go fight them, and between the two of them, they fight them off, and everyone survives. And in fact, as they're kind of climbing up, all of the kids that she had told to go fuck off actually have all kind of rushed back over to help, and had brought others with them to come help, and it's like a big metaphor for like working together and accepting help from other people, etc. At the end of it all, Taliyah kind of acknowledges that to a degree, Kaisa, you were right. We can't all go out to Zolan, and Kaisa has also kind of told her, hey, yeah, the tunnel's going to Zolan. It's not safe. The Void has it. So Taliyah sends the rest of her people. I guess there's just some other option. It's like, well, I guess we could also just go to that place. And that other place is fine. And they'll go there, but I'm going to go with you, Kaisa, and we're going to go to Zolan together. And if it's taken by the Void, we'll take it back and we'll make it right. So they go off together to go be in a cinematic. And that's that's where it ends, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, what do you guys think about orphans, where all the orphans are trying to find their parents, but then they find out that their parents are actually people who they've been following their works inadvertently and being like, oh, that's cool shit.
That's amazing, John.
Okay,
that was really
good.
Or ruin terrible parents.
Okay, no, I like that one better.
So
That's more like
Orphans
Rel's
is the
mom,
first
yeah.
one that came out, and it was really good. And someone was like, "Hey, that's doing well. We're gonna make our own version." And it's like a shitty version
It's
of
like
it.
a Jerry Springer where it's like Rel and her mom and like Syndra and her mom. Her mom's probably just dead now, but you know what I mean, right? Like,
Yeah. I love this.
good stuff.
All right, I can
Good job,
focus again.
honey. Yeah. Sorry, you knew that
And I'm
story. You
back.
read it. You didn't need to listen.
Yeah,
I got
honestly.
notes on it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I have a quote here. Well, this isn't actually a quote. This is just an observation. So Kaisa and Taliyah are the same age.
Oh, really?
Taliyah sees past the monster exterior and saw the human within right away. Both are dedicated to protecting others. I mean,
It's a nice shit.
this seems like the next shit.
It's a good shit.
Come on, give us Taliyah.
It's Taliyah and her hot goth girlfriend. That's what it looks like. I love it.
The itty bitty goth girlfriend. You're a tiny lady.
She's not that small.
She's like I'm thinking like
It's not
palm
Vex.
size or
Someone's talking
something.
about Vex. Like, talking about her boobs?
What? No.
Yeah, you are.
No. What?
What?
God.
What?
Her?
I know,
This
right?
lady. There's a quote, everyone looks at Kaisa expectantly. She does her best approximation of a smile. Close-lipped, so as to not look too aggressive. It doesn't seem to scare the children. A victory. Which gave real big fucking Terminator vibes. where Arnold Schwarzenegger's like trying to smile.
Did you guys see all the memes of DeSantis trying to smile at the end of like the Republican whatever debate? So fucking funny, dude. You gotta look because somebody did pair it with the Terminator trying to smile. It's so good. Anyway.
There's another quote here where Kaisa is eating, the barbecue that they're giving her.
I like how all your notes are about Kaisa. Do you think maybe you had these exact notes?
I didn't actually.
Oh,
and now I need to say them because I missed them at the time.
Sure.
We don't have enough with Taliyah, so...
Right.
The taste brings back old memories of life with her parents, of her father cooking over an open flame. So, like, barbecue Cassidon skin where? Come on.
I kind of like it.
He could be cooking it on his, like, dick spike.
John!
Oh, sure.
Move
Thank you.
Not picturing hot dogs on it.
But they're not lengthwise. No, it's all like,
Oh, shit.
I guess you can only get one lengthwise. I don't know.
Split it right in half.
Some of the elders speak of the sun-blessed ascended warriors. Others tell the story. This is Kaisa, by the way, going around the camp talking to people. Mm-hmm. Some of the elders speak of the sun-blessed ascended warriors. Others tell the story of the last emperor and the chaos that followed his death. Zypha describes the darkness that infected the ascended and drove them to madness and evil. None are believable. Kaisa! You literally hunt monsters from another dimension on the daily with the help of your alien skin suit that can summon plasma. Ascended is hard to believe? Come on, people.
Yeah, no one believes
also,
anything.
she's from Shurima, right? Like, wouldn't she have known about Ascended when she was a kid?
Maybe she's like a big conspiracy theorist, right? It's like one of those, like...
I love this!
Like, oh, great, Kaisa's on
The
about...
Ascended are all just fucking crab people, guys. You have no idea.
Okay, Kaisa, okay. Oh, man.
Also, I just have a... So, Taliyah was... trying to raise Taliyah broke down camp. Camp was basically just like domes of stone that Taliyah had raised. Mm-hmm. So she broke down camp, and Kaisa noticed she saw the sheen of sweat on the girl's brow. This exhausts her more than she lets on. And that's because she didn't finish her training. Why does nobody finish their training in this world?
She did.
Things to do, John.
Yeah, right. They got families, except for the fact that she doesn't seem to really give a shit about what's going on with her family anymore. I mean, I don't know. She describes all the people
them on
that
the game show too,
right? She's describing all these people as like her family, which I guess maybe they kind of are an adopted family. I suppose.
I think I had thought that this was her tribe when we first read it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was before I knew anything about Taliyah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of what I said earlier. It's a bit of a stumble because it's been such like like her core motivation, right? That's why she's back in Shurima and all this stuff. She's super scared about what's going to happen with Azir, and then it's just sort of like, well, I'll just help.
But now the Void.
Yeah, right. It's just like, the Void's the new hotness. Yeah.
Taliyah has a line in here when they're fighting. Keep running, Taliyah shouts. That's what triggers the explosions.
The rock
like her
explosions
move from in game.
Except does walking across them actually still trigger them? I could be wrong. I thought it was that like it did damage when it cast, and then it has a secondary.
It's if you use movement abilities across them, it triggers.
Yeah.
If you like dash or something.
Yeah. Whatever.
Or if you Tristana rocket jump, which is what I like to do across them all the time when I kill myself as Tristana against Taliyah.
That's fun. It's fun.
So they have another interaction kind of after Taliyah went to go save the one and then almost got her tribe killed, and then Kaisa went to go save her. When they needed you the most, you abandoned them. You left them all to die so you could try and maybe save one person. Taliyah is quiet for a moment. Not that I'm not grateful, but You know you did the same thing when you came down to help me, right? Sparks?
I'll be honest. I don't see it. I think it's weird.
Sparks?
I think it's...
Kaisa's paying attention to the sheen on Taliyah's brow. Come on. Come on.
Look, you gotta see. She bought a sheen, man. It's important. You gotta know what items your link opponent has.
That's what Sheen does. It gives you a nice light glisten.
I think it's weird to me, the idea that they're the same age, because she's constantly referring to Taliyah as a girl, and I guess I just kind of, from that, it makes me feel like Kaisa's older than Taliyah.
Yeah.
But maybe she's just older beyond her
been
years.
Through some shit.
Yeah.
There's another line here. Taliyah steps forward and takes Kaisa's hands in her own. They feel warm and calloused, even through Kaisa's second skin. If she had been there when my home fell to the void, maybe I could have been something different. Sparks? Together they set out across the Sai Khalik on a floating stone bridge, their destinies momentarily woven into one. Or permanently woven into one?
You know that's not gonna happen. There's only room for one happy couple in the League of Legends Champions. We already got it.
Diego and the Soul. That's right. No.
Now she's also mentioned in a few stories.
Oh.
Orchids Bloom by Michael Yi Chow, which is where Yasuo helps protect a lady who uses frost magic from some thugs sent by her son to capture her, and she mentions that she's responsible for her son's action, much like Yasuo would be responsible for the actions of his student.
Oh, whoever that is.
Whoever that is. Then we've got Pinwheel by Jared Rosen. So when Kaisa is talking to bel'veth, she looks up and sees all the tunnels that have been responsible for eating Taliyah's people. From the under. Then we've got Roots
So
of...
did they all die? The people Taliyah was trying to protect?
Well, most of the people in Taliyah's group are in her group because their entire civilization's got eaten.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, Roots of a Poison Tree by Graham McNeil, that Malphite piece. When Malphite opens his eyes, the sound reminded Shurai of the grinding noise from when he saw Taliyah doing her bending thing near Kennethet.
Sure.
Now, can I say Taliyah Malphite, Lux Galio?
Ooh.
Right.
That hangout, right? I don't know.
I love that.
They compare their
At first
two
I thought you
giant...
were pairing them romantically. Taliyah Malphite.
Now there's...
Okay, Mark. You freaky bitch. I'm with you.
Hide any crevices, indeed. Yeah. But yeah, they can compare giant rock men. I'm like, oh, mine does this. Oh, mine does that. You know, whatever.
Mine's got a chip.
My dad could beat up your dad.
Fuck.
Now, there's a line in the Ruined King video game. Yasuo says, yes, maple seeds. My brother gave me seeds when I was younger, and I gave them to Taliyah. In my school, the seeds represented patience. Which...
Your school?
Yeah, well, he was part of a school before.
Oh my
As a
god, I
kid.
thought he meant like as he was teaching Taliyah, he had a school. Like, y'all hung out in
That
caves
counts.
in the woods. Calm down.
Let's see. We get The Battle Mistress by Rayla Hyde, where they mention Sivermet, Taliyah, and Vakora, or Vakara, whoever you pronounce it. And then we've got The Unforgiven by Ariel Lawrence, where we get a much less detailed account of Yasuo and Taliyah's time together. But we do get a more in-depth description. I mean, more in-depth is not saying much, but about the significance of the maple seeds. So Yone had gifted them to Yasuo and urged him to be patient and accept the tutelage of Master Suma, because when Yasuo first joined their school, Master Suma was like, okay, I see some shit in him. I would train him. And Yasuo was like, not interested. So Yone was like, all right, be patient. Learn from him, please. He's pretty cool. Just imagine if he hadn't done that, he might not have ever learned wind shit.
Yeah. It's all this. What you're saying is it's really all the fault of some maple seeds, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fucking Yasuo wouldn't be in the game. That'd be
Yasuo.
great.
So that's all the stories. So, my overarching thought here is like I really feel like Riot wants Taliyah to be like a big thing. Like they keep trying to put her in situations where she's going to be like a really big deal, and like not following through to the point where like I had no idea that she was supposed to be a big, like if she didn't have a novella worth of lore, I would have no fucking clue. Like having not read any Darius lore or Garen lore, before we did it, like I would assume like they're going to be in a lot of stories. They're like the poster children for their region. And even Silas, he's like the wanted poster child of his region. But like, I would not have pegged Taliyah as like, oh yeah, this is the Shuriman person. This is the chosen one. But I really feel like Riot wants to do that, but they're not willing to commit to it. She's in a really weird spot where like, I don't know. Like, I have a really hard time describing what I'm feeling here, but Riot wants Taliyah to be something that she's not right now.
It's a very apt, very astute observation. Do you think it is a marketability thing? Like, when we think of Shurima, who gets big headlines? It's always like Nasus, Renekton. It's really big. Like, I could be wrong, but at least for me personally, when I think of Shurima, those are ones that kind of immediately come to mind, right? Is these big ascended characters.
It's possible, but I mean, on the other hand too, like, I mean, if we look at something like Avatar, I feel like Toph is widely like one of the most popular characters. Like, if you
personality-wise, she's absolutely nothing like Toph. People don't like Toph because she moves rocks, John.
I mean, I think that's pretty cool.
I mean, I think
she's good. She's real good at moving rocks. She doesn't just move rocks. She's the best at moving rocks.
I mean, you're completely right, Rebecca. Right? Like, yeah, it's a person. Like, they're very different. Right, like I think it's, I don't know how popular Taliyah is. I think it's that I think Taliyah is not terribly popular, and I think she is not like have a very big. God, she's not like a Darius where there's like a big mass market appeal type thing. I think she's just like, as much as I think she makes sense narratively to be a big major player, main character type in the region, right? Like. I feel like that's why she's lacking that kind of like support that you're talking about from Riot in terms of like she's not in ads, she's not in cinematics, right? Like she's in the climb, right, which is like a tiny little thing, and I guess her teaser. And I guess the call. That's a fair,
and the call.
That's a fair point.
She's in 3 cinematics.
Yeah, I know. That's a fair point. Damn, you're right. But I forgot about that, and I rewatched it for this episode. I've seen it many times.
I'm curious where they'll go. I think where they're going with Shurima is going to be more Void focused and less Azir, Nasus, Xerath focused, as we're seeing. And I think they are intentionally pairing Taliyah and Kaisa for that, as being like the heroes against the Void. So I don't know. We'll see if they stick with that, because the Hollow Spun and the Call are pretty recent.
Yeah.
So it doesn't feel like they've dropped Taliyah in a storyline. They have dropped the idea of her finding her family for now. I don't know if that's ever going to come up again.
Yeah.
But I do like, from what we know about Kaisa and how she approaches this, pairing her with Taliyah makes sense if she needs to get Shurima together to fight the Void, which Kaisa does need. She can't do this alone, right? And she's learning that very slowly, and she's learning that Shrimans can fight against the Voidlings. Like, she's not the only one who can. So, and Taliyah is so charismatic and kind and good. She's like the Lux of Shurima a little bit, right? She's very positive. And if she can get anyone can get people together, it's going to be her.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a really fair point.
We'll see if they do that.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you got to execute. Yeah. But that's like a problem endemic with Riot in many ways that's not unique to Taliyah, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But it is true. I don't think this is going to be a heavily downloaded episode.
That's true.
Some episodes
if
are
you're
more popular.
To this, you're probably in the minority.
Thanks. Yeah. and people, I think people are going to see that it's going to be probably over 2 hours long, and they're going to be like, "What the fuck?"
Sure.
Or close to 2 hours. Like,
I mean,
Taliyah has 2 hours worth of lore.
I mean, I had that sense. I was like, oh, Taliyah. I was like, yeah, I know she got some stories. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, wait, I think she's
Hang
got
on
a
minute.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's in bloodlines.
Consider
right.
this.
Yeah.
There's going to be close to 2 hours or over 2 hours worth of content, and she's in only 4 AUs.
Right?
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the AUs yet. Oh, well, one of the AUs is Star Guardian, so
Yeah,
that's why it's
yeah.
going to be long.
And
But-
she just got dropped in. There's not even
So
a
there's
lot
not
to
a lot.
talk about. She's barely in any cinematic. She's got almost no lore. She's not part of any short stories. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll see.
wild.
I'm curious what other people think. You know, if
Put
you're
it in
chatting
the comments.
Well, the Discord. That's when people talk about it. Do you think of Taliyah a lot when you think of Shrima? Do you feel like she's very much part of the lore? Or does she just kind of seem like someone who's in the background? I don't know.
That's a good question.
I feel like the music team wrote her theme, and then they learned more about like her personality, and they're like, ah, shit. They like they like read her stories, and they're like, oh, okay, she's gonna be the savior of Shrima. Then they wrote her theme, and then they're like, oh man, it doesn't fit anymore. This is way too fucking epic for what Riot's doing with her.
no.
Oh, I like your theme a lot, honestly.
I do
The
too.
theme is awesome.
I have fucking the theme from the climb stuck in my head right now though, because that was the last one that I rewatched. It's just running through
Sure.
my head. I always want to call it the call. They're too similar.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, cinematics.
Cinematics, baby. First, we got Homecoming, which is just Taliyah coming back to Shrima and finding the sun disk has arisen.
This is her teaser, right?
Yeah. So she speeds away on her ult towards the city, and as a nice little touch here, we actually see that lightning storm that they keep talking about in the background of the cinematic the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think I ever watched this. The art style's interesting. Taliyah looks very different in this than I feel like she looks in like her splash, but
Yeah. This was, I think, back when they were doing more of an animated style for a lot of the teasers, because I think this were like Rek'Sai
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
oh.
For sure.
Which is pretty cool. She's part of the climb, where again, this is the one I was talking about, where it looks like Taliyah's fighting Xerath, kind of. She's like building these like stone loop-de-loops that she's surfing on, and the lightning's just fucking bouncing off of it. Not even. It's interesting because it's not even like, you know, she's putting up a wall of stone and surfing, and then the lightning hits it and it shatters the stone. Like, the lightning's doing nothing to her stone.
Yeah.
She is impervious.
Sure. Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Then she's in the call, where Taliyah and Kaisa do make it to Zolan, and somehow, despite sensing a human underground needing help from above ground in the Holospun cinematic, a group of Xersai managed to sneak up on them. But it's cool. They fight them off, and then Rek'Sai pops up, and Kaisa jumps into the hole to draw her away from Zolan, because as we mentioned, Zolan is where Taliyah does want to bring her people to kind of build a life here. So Kaisa leads them away, and Taliyah drops a mountain into the hole.
Yeah.
Does bel'veth's teaser happen after that? Is that where Kaisa ends up after this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always try to place it. Okay. And that's how we find out what happened to the town.
Although a different town.
Yeah, that's true.
Would have been kind of cool, but they couldn't call her Zolan because that name was taken.
Right. Yeah.
And then finally, she is also in the Rise cinematic. Taliyah is one of the stone statues fighting the Elder Dragon right before the final confrontation, which I did not even need to rewatch the cinematic for. I just remembered where she was in that cinematic.
Look
See
at
how many
you.
times I've seen that one.
Yeah.
You said the Rise cinematic. I thought you meant his like call to power
Like
or
the
what?
call to
Yeah.
power.
I was like, I don't remember her. I
She
know
can't be in the call and the call to power.
It's ridiculous. She's calling too many people. Our phone bill, Taliyah.
And I've got some quotes here. First is just a fun fact about her
Oh.
quotes. The melody she hums when she dances is her login screen theme.
Cool.
She and Yasuo both have the phrase, "I will follow this path until the end." She actually speaks it in the Homecoming teaser cinematic.
Oh, neat. That's neat.
That's true. She does.
She has a line, Noxians. Why did it have to be Noxians? Which is a Raiders of the Lost arc reference.
She says it to Cassiopeia
She says
specifically.
it to Cassiopeia, who, it's funny because the original line is snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? And Cassiopeia's a snake. Which is also reminiscent of Ezreal's Noxians, I hate those guys, which is also an Indiana Jones reference.
Yeah, right.
You mentioned sedimentary, my dear Malphite. It's a Sherlock Holmes reference, although fun fact, the phrase elementary, my dear Watson, is not in any of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's books. That phrase was not used until the 1929 film, The Return of Sherlock Holmes, which was a year before Doyle's death in 1930.
What a fucking nerd over here. I bet you didn't even look that up, you just knew it.
I did actually just know that it wasn't actually used in any of the books. I didn't know where it was first used,
the year.
though.
Yeah.
I did have to look that up. Diamonds Really Are a Girl's Best Friend is a reference to the song Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, performed by Marilyn Monroe. Not All Who Wander Are Lost is Taliyah's counterpart to Yasuo's A Wanderer Isn't Always Lost. You know, a lot of shared things there. And then her Freljord skin, Brace Yourself, I Hear Winter Is Coming.
Sure.
I don't know what that reference is, but I think it's something. Also, and this is just kind of, I still ship her and Kaisa, so I'm on the Taliyah buy train on this one. But she does have a quote to echo. Did the earth move for you too? Did I just say that out loud?
Aw, she's a crush on Echo. He's a cutie. He seems younger than Taliyah. If she's Kaisa's age. Oh, I don't know how old Echo's supposed to be now.
I think Echo's probably the same age as Kaisa is for half of her stories. And younger than her now.
Yeah, I think I'm just thinking about Arcane, which he is younger in Arcane.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Now she's part of only 4 AUs, surprisingly.
Oh, no.
We got Ages of Runeterra, Freljord. The harsh, frozen north rarely sees travelers from other lands. Those that brave its wilds are met with hostile nature and unwelcoming hordes. Lucky are the few that survive to return to the nation they call home. This is Freljord Taliyah, which has no lore, despite having a ton of unique voice lines for this skin.
I guess it was her release skin.
It must have. I mean, this must have just been like the idea was going to be that this is going to be like a canon thing, kind of like the Silas one, and then they just abandoned it, right?
That is exactly what happened. In
Ah.
fact.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, mystery solved.
Yeah, they were going to make this her time in Freljord, but I think they decided it after the skin design came out, and there was too much in the splash that, like, I guess was a little different than she would be able to do canonically. So they were like,
I'm sure it's like the appearance is like different, and it's like maybe it's just like
exactly.
I'm sure at that point they wanted to try and decouple as much of like in-game stuff as they could, right, from the lore or lore stuff. So
now she's also part of Sun-Kissed Summer, the pool party line. It's summer, baby. The sun's out, the breeze is warm, and the water's cool. Everybody's leaving their rivalries and grudges at home and bringing only swimsuits and good vibes. There'll be plenty of time for punching and yelling later. Just sit back, enjoy the music, and soak up the fun. This is Pool Party Taliyah. Taliyah once attempted to describe surfboarding to a perplexed Jarvan using such terms as get pitted, tubular, and ride the barrel. She's pretty sure he still has no idea what she was talking about. And, in case you are unfamiliar with this, while these are surfer terms, this is specifically a reference to the So Pitted Surfer interview from back in the day, which was another one of them old YouTube videos where some dude was like, there was a big storm and they were interviewing this surfer about it, and it was just the most classic surfer interview ever. He's just throwing out all these surfing terms to the interviewer, like, yeah, man, you just drop into the barrel, man, and you're like so pitted, you know, man, you're so pitted.
check that shit out.
I don't think I ever see this skin.
I like it though. I like her old.
Yeah,
look
me
on
too.
it.
Now there's additional lore on this one. attributed to Legends of Runeterra, despite not being in Legends of Runeterra, as far as I can tell. Taliyah breathed deep and let the calm pass through her. She thought about how the familiar speckled the unfamiliar in this little corner of the world. She knew the salt, but not the water. She knew the rhythm of the dunes, but not these waves. She was a quick learner. She stood tall as her board sped her along the wave's side. The wind rushed through her hair, stinging her face while her heart raced from the roar of the water behind. If only the others could see her now. There's an entire ocean to explore.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chill.
Weird.
Next up, we've got Star Guardian, which I didn't say for last because the last one is a little sneak peek.
I know, I just saw it when I was going through her skins. I was like, oh, interesting.
So we'll start with Star Guardian. She's part of Season 4. Ancient enemies appear in a Valoran city scarred by Zoe's invasion, now defended by a new generation of Star Guardians. As darkness gathers in the skies above, Kaisa and Akali prepare their untested squad for a fight with forces beyond their comprehension, and the true threat that awaits beyond. In case you're wondering, Taliyah, part of that untested squad. Star Guardian Taliyah. Unsure of who she is or who she wants to be, Taliyah was at a crossroads long before she took the Star Guardian oath, and now must balance her personal journey with fighting city-destroying monsters. Mousy at school, but brazen and loud in her Guardian uniform, she's learning a lot about herself, and how not to wipe out when surfing across the skyline on a giant wave of starlight. And her magical medium is named Aru. Aru's still figuring things out, but its enthusiasm overshadows any overt awkwardness. It just wants to be everyone's friend. Sure, Aru's huggable, but it's also surprisingly athletic. Star surfing alongside Taliyah is a favorite pastime, kicking up dust and bang loud for all to hear. Which was an interesting line because looking at her familiar, I wouldn't have pegged it as a like a goat.
No, it doesn't look anything.
No, yeah.
Or a sheep or anything.
Just a cute little.
Yeah, it's just a cute little fella.
Something or other.
I guess it's got the little, almost like ram horns on the side. You see?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like one of the Poro swirls.
It
almost.
does though.
Yeah.
Now she's part of, kind of, a few cinematics. Shadow of a Doubt, where Akali is looking at pictures of her crew before she gets pulled into a Morgana nightmare, and, Taliyah was in the picture. And then, everything goes on. At the end, when Kaisa wakes up in a field and her team is there to pick her up, Taliyah's there too.
She's a Soraka.
Hey, Soraka was at least holding her hand out to help.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that was Sona. My bad. Got him confused. The Star Guardians, they're tough. Now, she is part of the Another Sky in-game event. She did not have a big role in the story outside, the other Star Guardians. It's not like she wasn't like the Kaisa or the Akali in this story. She was one of like 4 of the untested members on the team. So, they each kind of get a moment, but nothing really. Her big thing is that she bonds with Rel and Quinn at Cafe Cuties over liking pastries. Weird.
Nice.
But she does have kind of personal interactions with Kaisa that you can unlock. So Kaisa notices she's very shy at school, but more outgoing during training and at Cafe Cuties. Taliyah says the reason is she does not like the school uniforms and doesn't want to be seen in them. But the Star Guardian uniform makes her feel like who she wants to be. But she has not had the time to find any other fashion that does the same for her, so she just kind of wears the same hoodie all the time. But she explains if she did find that fashion, she'd throw away the old hoodie. Now, Kaisa and Akali take her shopping. And at that point, she also explains that the hoodie is one of the only things she saved from her house before it was destroyed in the invasion. And she thinks that maybe holding on to it is keeping her in that moment. So Akali steals her some clothes from the mall, and they head back to Kaisa's place to try them on. Although when she comes out, she's instead wearing her school uniform, and she's decided, you know what? It wasn't the uniform that made me uncomfortable. It was my mental holding me back. So I'm just going to be confident in anything I wear now, but I do still plan on burning this uniform when I graduate. And then finally, we have...
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one.
Magica Prismatica.
Ooh, well said.
Motus was a world bound to magic, but after the Purge, everything collapsed. Centuries later, civilizations are scattered. Nature has reclaimed the cities, and magic's back in the form of Pixabay crystals. All it wants is to spread, and while some can use its power safely, others lose themselves to its pull and are taken over. So begins the Pixabay Wars. And this is Crystallis Motus Taliyah. When the Pixabay crystals begin to appear, everyone on Motus reacted differently. Locked to their island, Taliyah's people viewed them not as a threat, but as an extension of nature. Now, in symbiotic harmony with the crystals on their bodies, Taliyah's people are stronger than ever, and she ventures to the mainland to put her powers to the test.
Yeah, do we know when this is coming out?
I don't know.
Good question.
I did also, I was curious in the pronunciation of, Pixabay. I was like, yeah, how would you pronounce it in that situation? And English sucks. I just found an article that had a list of 8 different words that ended with AE, and everyone was pronounced differently. So I'm going Pixabay, and fuck y'all.
Damn, getting aggressive over the Pixabay. Okay, we'll see what happens. Riot's gonna come out and say you're fucking wrong. It's Pixabay.
Right, idiot. It's Prismy, like algae.
It'll be released September 14th. It's in PBE now.
Oh,
sweet.
Nice. And then some fun facts here. Erica Lindbeck voices Taliyah in League and provided vocals for Taliyah's login theme.
Oh, nice.
And Morgana, Zoe, and the Golden Sister from Legends of Runeterra are also voiced by Erica Lindbeck.
Ah.
Now, in Legends of Runeterra, Xerath voices Taliyah. So while Erica Lindbeck could have been commissioned, the decision to recast Taliyah was made to remain as authentic to her character and heritage as possible.
Oh, okay.
Taliyah was originally kind of a spunky teen Rosie the Riveter with a huge oversized hammer and chisel.
Wow, that really.
I can't even imagine that.
Huh. Okay.
Taliyah's designers considered including her identity as transgender during development, but this detail did not make it to her release. Although it was thought to have been scrapped entirely, but Nico did release with a quote towards Taliyah. Said, Nico not the only one who changes.
Interesting.
Rock surfing, the ability that her passive, where she just kind of moves faster if she's next to terrain, is actually an import from the Terrain Boots enchantment that was prototyped back in preseason 2015.
I forgot about the boot enchantments. Holy shit, dude.
Wow. Boot. Oh my god.
Remember when home guards were something you had to buy an enchantment for?
God.
We're gonna in 5
shit.
years we're gonna be like, do you remember mythic items? Holy shit, man.
Right.
They're getting rid of mythic items, did you know?
Yeah, I saw that.
I just learned that.
So we mentioned this a little bit. She's portrayed as being 16, but because of all the timeline inconsistencies that rose after her stories, Scaithlock has stated that currently she is 23 as of 996 AN, which is whatever year it is in canon, I guess.
I love when AN gets dropped. It's like, oh yeah, that really clears it up.
Yeah, thanks.
They're almost at the
Taliyah's
millennium,
tribe.
sorry. I just realized.
Almost. 4 more years. Although who knows what will be left of Runeterra after that. There's a million calamities on the border.
Yeah.
It'll be one you don't even see coming.
Right. It'll be the new champion.
Those crabs the whole time.
Right? Fucking Briar's gonna end it all. Taliyah's tribe worships the Great Weaver, who is a force of nature said to govern the tapestry of fate and life for every individual.
Huh.
And then we have a bunch of things from the Champion Insight, or I think these are mostly from an AMA from her creator. She's a Virgo, and her birthday is September 22nd.
Great.
Oh, she's almost going to get a skin for her birthday. That's pretty close.
All right. She was canonically named after a specific lavender-colored 5-petaled star-like flower that grows in the rocky foothills near the Acathian border. It's called Taliyah, the rock that flowers.
Oh, okay. So this is not an actual. Okay.
I know. It took me a second.
Okay.
It's like, where's Ione again? Oh, wait.
So this is from her creator on her sexuality. So I think Taliyah is someone who is in the midst of finding out who she is, and figuring out who you're attracted to is certainly part of that. I'm sure she would find some people more physically attractive than others, but I think the thing that would draw her to someone would be who they are on the inside. So she's still figuring out her sexuality, but personality is more important to her than looks.
Yeah, that's what they all say.
Which is why she has all the sparks with Kaisa. Her favorite ice cream flavor is Rocky Road.
Stop! Shut the fuck up.
You wrote that. No one actually said that. You just thought that.
That is a canon piece of information.
Taliyah fucking hates Rocky Road, but everyone expects her to love it. So she's like, she tries to order something else, and they're like, no, get Rocky Road.
Say the line.
Right. She lives in the desert. She's never had ice cream.
That's true. Hey, she was in the Freljord for a while. Do you think they make ice cream there?
Sure.
Which region would have ice cream?
Piltover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done. First
She's
one
probably been there,
one to
right?
crack refrigeration. Her favorite animals are goats, especially fluffy goats. Her favorite color is indigo. Favorite time of day is dawn. In the real world, she'd enjoy... a lot of interesting things here. In the real world, she'd enjoy indie electro-pop music, Western movies, romance novels, frappuccinos, red velvet cake pops, and pineapple and pepperoni pizza. Her favorite subjects in school would be geology, astronomy, and biology. Her favorite Pokemon would be Rockruff.
I feel like I just picked up an issue of Teen Beat.
Oh, fuck.
And Daniel Klein additionally mentioned Taliyah is left-handed.
Nice.
And those are our fun facts.
Maybe we can keep it under 2 hours.
Hey.
Oh shit, we gotta rush.
We gotta rush. That was Taliyah. Any final thoughts?
Nope.
No.
Well, that was Taliyah. Thank you so much for listening. We have merch. I forgot to mention that in the last few ones. bit.ly/loreheadsmerch. There's a link in the description as well. There's shirts and stuff. We have a Twitter. It's @loreheads. And we have a Twitch, twitch.tv/loreheads. John streams on Saturdays, ARAMs, and TFTs with viewers. And I'll stream on Monday. Yeah. We play some Summoner's Rift. We fucking went on a winning streak last week. It was sick. And all I want to do is play League since. And I haven't played once.
Got the itch.
That was 2 days ago, so it's not.
That was forever, John.
forever.
You know what that's like. I gotta get my hit, you know. Just give me one ARAM, man, just one. We have a YouTube. John posts clips, little funny bits and stuff.
Bits and bubs.
And we also have the full episodes of the video. And we have a Discord. If you want to jump in and hear what people are saying about Taliyah, please join the Discord. And we have a Patreon. Thank you so much for all our patrons.
But a very special day
Today, Junior.
to our Medarda tier patrons. Big Man Gnomes, King of Hearts, Shupa Mustache, Trideca, and Penis. If y'all were about to fall into a void hole in the desert, I would also spawn a rock platform underneath you to save your life.
Beautiful.
And carry you across the desert
Aww.
in the cradle of my rocky arms.
Email fight now.
I guess.
Well, be sure to join us next week for maybe a shorter episode, I hope, as we talk about the Blade Shadow Talon.